just because you're cutting doesn't mean that you're going to inherently lose strength. The biggest thing you're going to lose when you cut is your gut and the padding all around your arms, your shoulders, your knees, and so on and so forth. And why does that matter, you might ask? It matters because that's the padding that you're holding yourself and propping yourself up against when you bench press, right? If you take your two fingers and you put them on the inner crevice of your arm here, and then you go and you try to bend your arm, you're going to jam yourself into your fingers. But then you remove the fingers, and suddenly you can get a much of a deeper reach and a deeper bend in that elbow. And that's what you're going to experience when you lose a bunch of fat off of your arms from cutting down. And so because of that simple fact, you went from doing a regular bench press to essentially a camber bar bench press, where the range of motion is greater, you're put into a more stretched position, and therefore you are weaker. But you're not weaker. You're just disadvantaged with your leverage. Now, if you were to take that and say go into a pull-up or go into bicep curls or whatever you may have, it might actually get easier. You have less shit conflicting with you when you're going up. So those exercises might baffle you. You might be like, wow, why the fuck am I able to get this weight up now and produce all this force that I wasn't able to? Well, you had a doorstop there. That's just the simple fact of the matter. That's all it is. So what I want to propose is not only the disadvantage or advantage leverages of cutting, but also, too, the mindset of cutting. There's often a massive mindset associated with cutting that you're at a loss of energy because you're in a calorie deficit and therefore you can't put as much into the workout. It's false. You're pulling from storage from fat. You got to consider that if you have 10 pounds of fat to lose, let's say, in your cut, 3,500 calories by 10 pounds, that's 35,000 calories of extra energy that you're taking from fat to use for your body during the extent of your cut, okay? Because again, every 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories in equivalence. So you're not short on energy. You just got it stored in your stomach, your arms, your love handles, wherever you might have it. And that's what you're going to use instead of the food that you're shoving down your throat. And another thing that's interesting from me training people for over 10 years now is that whenever I put people in a cut and they don't know the ins and outs of fitness, they don't know all the nitty gritties and stuff like that, and they just trust my judgment and let me do whatever I want to do with them, which is thank you for trusting me. But they never see a decrease in strength. They just keep chugging along as normal, as usual, because they don't have a preconceived notion in their head telling them, hey, buddy, you're going to start getting weaker and feeling groggier and blah, 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 blah. But once they start consuming all the Instagram content and the YouTube content that's kind of made up by a bunch of people that may or may not have shit to sell, that's when they start going downhill. They're like, do you think that I'm going to start getting weaker because I'm getting lighter? And I'm like, no, you've been getting stronger for months now. I don't know why that would have changed. Thank you, speaker, for interrupting me. But, then they're like, oh, okay. And they keep progressing accordingly. Now, it's when you get it in your head that you're going to start losing it that you're going to start losing it because you've chosen to at this point. You've brainwashed yourself into believing that. And it's not to say that there isn't a point where you will generally start to lose strength and performance. Generally, for a male like you, you're going to get to a point where you're like 12%. And I'm talking like an honest 12%. Like, not I'm 12% even though I'm 20. When you're 12%, you got pretty good shreds and lines and definition, veins popping out and shit like that. That's when you could start to see a point of diminishing returns because the amount of fat storage you have on you is limited. And now your body is trying to definitely throttle you back in terms of how much energy it's willing to expend. And that's when you'll start to see some performance diminishing, like just the diminishing of performance. But most folks starting in a cut are probably anywhere between, I would say, 18 to 30% body fat. And therefore, there is no large consequence on cutting in terms of your impact to your strength. As previously mentioned, you're just going to lose your leverages. So until you actually get to the point where you've got some death face going on, you got those really rigid structures popping out and everything like that, I don't think you have anything to be concerned about. I've never seen anybody have anything to be concerned about. And if you are concerned about losing strength while having minimal amounts of food psychologically, eat your carbs an hour and a half before your workout. That's what I've always done, bulked or cut or even in maintenance. Take 25% of the carbs that you're going to have for your given day and consume it an hour and a half before your lift. You'll feel great, you'll have plenty of energy, and you'll run in there saying, fuck you, I'm going to do this shit despite being on a cut. So that's all I got to say for today. Don't give up on yourself. Keep getting strong and keep getting those shreds.